Hey, everybody. It's 2025 for a couple of days now, so not interesting anymore. Happy belated New Year. Welcome to Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. I'm Dan Besbris, and this is your New Year's Day recap edition of the program. Apologies for the slightly late release on these episodes. Kids are still on winter break. I might throw them out onto the street to fend for themselves because one thing you learn is that school breaks are the worst thing on planet Earth. And if you're a parent who likes school breaks, I think I hate you. I don't hate many things, but that I think I could make an exception for. Find me on Twitter at Dan Besbris, DanBesbris. Seems to be a weirdly NBA juicy day going on right now. The universe is talking basketball. I don't know who we have to thank for that, but I am grateful. I like that. I like the world is talking NBA right now because I'm ready to talk NBA right with you guys. So come along on this journey as we explore the results of Wednesday evening's slate by bringing you guys the quick recap. These are the things we're going to be covering on today's show, and then some. Lonzo Ball is a really interesting topic. Jaden Ivey is I probably should have mentioned that one first. That's the biggest one. He's out for a very long term. D'Angelo Russell off to a good start in Brooklyn. Immanuel Quickley made his return for the Raptors. Campaign out of nowhere. PJ Washington also got hurt, hopefully not quite as bad. Russell Westbrook is absolutely cooking right now. And the Kings, do we have a slight changing of the guard in terms of minute distribution, or was it just a situation where a player was out and another player got to do a little bit more? That we will seek to answer following this reminder that BetOnline, I don't know why I said it with a weird accent right there, continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. They've got the earliest odds, live in-game betting, and the ability to watch the games as they happen. So head there today to check out their odds on football, NBA, college hoops, NHL, UFC, and use promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, to get a welcome deposit on your first deposit. Bet online. The game starts here. Chicago lost at Washington, a rare blowout for the Wizards that's on the right side of the ledger. You don't see this happen all too often. The note on Chicago, and admittedly, Ayo Dosunmu is still out for this ball game, and that does play a role in minute distribution. But Lonzo Ball now has played not significant minutes, but for him, kind of significant. He went 26 and then 22 in his last two ball games. You guys can do that math. He's averaging a half a ball game. Not scoring yet. Just a total of 9 points over those two games, but 11 rebounds, 9 assists, 6 steals, a block, and a couple of three-pointers. He is inching up on potential fantasy relevance. He's, I added him in 2 Roto Games Cap leagues. I don't know that you could ever really add him in head-to-head formats. I don't expect him to play both halves of back-to-backs really at all this year, although if that changes, anything's possible, I suppose. He's just, he's one of the most impactful players on the Bulls. He's a high-impact player no matter where he is, just because of the things that he does on the court. I have no idea if the game is really going to come around, because right now, he's shooting 33% so far this year. Admittedly, almost all of his shots are from downtown, but that's at 30%. His career is at 36. He was actually at 42 in his last full season. We know he doesn't get to the free throw line, so that sort of doesn't matter. He gets some assists, he gets some steals. Is there going to be enough this year? I'm inclined to think the answer is no, even though I just admitted to you guys that I picked him up in 2 Roto Games Cap leagues. I just think it's something we want to keep our eyes on right now, more than anything else. Is there anything else I wanted to talk about on the Bulls? Nah, let's keep going. My goal here is on these recap shows is to try to wedge them in a half an hour. That's my new, can we do it fast enough? I don't want to skip anything, but I also don't want to take too long. Bilal Coulibaly left early for the Wizards, dealing with an illness, so hopefully that's a short-term thing, although we've seen these upper respiratory bugs knock guys out for a few games at a time, so again, keep an eye on it. Bub Carrington was a little bit better, but a lot of that was because he went 4 for 5 shooting. That's just not a thing that's going to happen most days, especially with 3 of them being from downtown. Justin Champagnie had 15 points, but he only had 21 minutes, so that's also not consistent enough. Alex Sarr is your active stash. Malcolm Brogdon is a guy you're starting. Kyle Kuzma had 5, 5, and 5. Yahtzee, 22 minutes. That number will just slowly continue to inch forward for Kuzma, who admittedly, I'll say the same thing I do on every show. I don't like Kyle Kuzma for 9 category leagues, but if you drafted him against my advice, at this point, you pretty much just have to sit on him and see where it goes and then, try to abandon ship at some point down the line. Orlando has a little bit of an offense problem right now. KCP took 11 shots finally, and if he takes 9 shots or more, he's a top 100 fantasy player, and so that's what you've gotten in this one. But the question is, will he do it nightly? And the answer seemingly is no. That said, he's if you really wanted to stream a guy, you could certainly stream KCP. It's not going to be an earth-shattering number by any stretch of the imagination because, he falls into that very, very, very boring fantasy contingent. But again, 11, 10, and 11 shots his last 3 ball games because all the key guys are out for Orlando right now. That's good enough. And you can look at the numbers in the games where he's taken 10 shots, 24 points, 10, 5, 21. That's sufficient. He's averaging almost 2 steals a game over this stretch. He doesn't rebound. Passing is meh. He's a very good foul shooter, for whatever that's worth. I think he's made something like his last 19 free throws in a row. That's good. Doesn't take that many, but that's good. Again, it's iffy. There's a place for him. I would even think more so on the head-to-head side because then you just have that sort of like compiler type of deal where there isn't a whole lot of per-game upside. But yeah, right now he's probably startable in most formats. I'm not into Wendell Carter Jr. You guys know that about me by now. Goga Bitadze, a rare down game. We will forgive him this one in discretion and assume that he'll be fine in the next one. The biggest news out of yesterday is Jaden Ivey, who broke his fibula. We just did a short video on that dropped on our YouTube page and over on the Instagram feed as well. And he's out possibly the rest of the year. We don't have an exact timeline on him yet, but it's multiple months. One would assume at least 2 months, probably more like 3. Funny thing is, it's not that funny, I guess. A good friend of mine, one of my kids' Little League coaches, actually broke his fibula 3 days ago, and he just happened to tell me, and admittedly, he's a 45-year-old man who's not playing in the NBA, but also that means he doesn't have to have his body up to NBA standards, and he's in a cast for 2 months. So, not even out of, I think that's 6 to 8 weeks in the cast, and then, no, that's wrong. I think it's more like almost immobilized for 6 weeks, and then, he can drive after that, probably, with maybe a different kind of walking boot. But I think it's a 3-month deal. So we're probably looking at April 1st for Jaden Ivey as a maybe, and that ain't worth it. So he's a drop. This is going to mean a little bit more for Tobias Harris, a little bit more for Cade Cunningham, a little bit more for Jalen Duren, a little bit more for Isaiah Stewart, a little bit more for Tim Hardaway Jr., and most importantly, a little bit more for Malik Beasley, who had one of his worst games of the year because, we know Malik Beasley. I've talked through him 1,000 times on this show. He's going to get hot, and he's going to get terrifyingly cold, and it's going to level off to somewhere probably in the filler zone. But that said, with no Ivy around, he's almost guaranteed a dozen shots a ball game in most of these contests. The thing about yesterday is that Ivy got hurt relatively late in the game, midway through the 4th quarter. So Beasley was already having a clunker. He was already not going to get any extra playing time. In the next one, he might start, or Ausar Thompson might start, but Beasley's going to be the guy who gets more shots. And while on that topic, first of all, Beasley should be added, I would think, in pretty much every format while this Ivy thing, while we get a feel for what Beasley's actually going to do. I hate to be Buzz Killington. I don't hate it. I kind of like being Buzz Killington sometimes. I'm going to be Buzz Killington. The Ausar Thompson, wanting to get out in front of it thing, I don't think you need to do that. The thing about Ausar Thompson is that his fantasy game is not that dissimilar from his brother, but he does less on offense and passes less. They're both freak athletes. Ausar is going to rack up steals. That's almost an unquestionable deal. But the lack of floor spacing makes it really hard to kind of wedge him in places where he doesn't belong. So I think you're probably going to see mid-20s in minutes from Ausar Thompson here going forward. Not that dissimilar, actually, from what we got yesterday, despite the fact that Ivy got hurt late in the ballgame, because Thompson's minutes are not particularly well tethered to the team's starting point/shooting guard. We saw Ausar post a giant game the one day Tobias Harris went down. Otherwise, he's kind of bounced between about 14 and 25 minutes for like the better part of 3 weeks now. And yeah, I mean, he's racking up, 14, 15 steals over that stretch, and he can rebound a bit, but he doesn't score. He doesn't pass much. That actually doesn't block that many shots, although it'd be nice if we could sort of fall into a few of them. He's not a good foul shooter. He doesn't hit any three-pointers. I don't know how Ausar Thompson gets to 9 category value unless he averages like 2.5 steals a game. Because almost everything else for him, if you extrapolate it to 25 minutes, I would guess that rebounding might be like a positive against the league average, but field goal percent, free throw percent, threes, points, assists, blocks, turnovers might all be negatives. So yeah, he probably gets to do a little bit more, but no, I don't think it matters. D'Angelo Russell made his Brooklyn debut, and it was a thing of beauty. 26 bench minutes, 22 points, 8 assists, a steal, 2 blocks, a couple of three-pointers. No, he's not going to shoot 70% every ball game, but he's also going to do more as he settles in. This was game 1. You don't know our playbook. You're coming off the bench. Just go be D'Lo for a little bit. And in a game that the Nets got blown out, D'Angelo Russell was a +2. Not that you can read too much into that, because obviously the starters were in there for more, and they were the unit that got smoked by the Raptors. But D'Lo's going to play. And I had some people ask me, they're like, Dan, do you really think that D'Angelo Russell, like, there's enough there for him if Cam Thomas was around? How soon we forget, my friends. Cam Thomas and Dennis Schroeder not only coexisted, but thrived the first few weeks of this year before Cam Thomas got hurt. They were both great at the start of the year. You can just slot D'Angelo Russell pretty much right into Dennis Schroeder's spot. And if you're like, oh, Dan, Ben Simmons is the point guard. Is he, though? Ben Simmons is a very easy player to guard at this point. Unless you have the slowest team on planet Earth. And there are a couple of those teams out there in the NBA that just have no idea how to play defense. But, like, you're going to run a point guard who can't shoot? That's a tough ask in the half court. Transition, Ben Simmons is great. In the half court, that ball's going to D'Lo and Cam Thomas. And then it might end up in the hands of Cam Johnson at the end of the play. There's a couple of things going on with this game that did muck up the waters a little bit. Noah Clowney went down sort of late with a back injury. He's questionable for their next ball game. Try to hang on there if you can. Keon Johnson started, had 17 points on 18 shots. A lot of that's going to go to Cam Thomas. That's where most of his stuff is going to come from. Nick Claxton, signs of life. So that's a hold there. And I think Ben Simmons is going to be a drop if he's not a drop already. So my Nets, my Brooklyn guys now would be Cam Thomas, Cam Johnson, Nick Claxton, D'Angelo Russell. And then Noah Clowney is kind of your maybe. I'm holding him in head-to-head leagues. In Roto, I don't know that I need to, because honestly, I don't know that there's ever going to be enough for Clowney to do. Even if they trade Cam Johnson, I don't know that there's enough. Like, it almost feels like they need to trade Cam Johnson and move D'Lo again, because I don't think they're trading Cam Thomas, and I don't know if they can move Nick Claxton. But it's a long way away. Scotty Barnes had a huge one, 33, 13, and 5 on great percentages. That's nice to see. But the bigger story here, Immanuel Quickley made his return from a UCL injury and played 32 minutes right out of the chute. That was an unexpected twist. 21 points, 15 assists for Immanuel Quickley. So any chance you had of getting your hands on him if you didn't have him already, poof. It helps when your team shoots 59%. Everybody got in on the fun. Grady Dick still had value here because there was no RJ Barrett. He's in real trouble when Barnes, Quickley, and Barrett are all together. So this may have been kind of like the Grady Dick's last ride. That's right. I went there. Dick's last ride. Pelicans. What a mess. You can pretty much start the starters on this team. I know they weren't all good necessarily, and I would keep an eye on backups as the season progresses. The Pelicans can't be that many weeks away from pulling the plug on things. Supposedly Zion and Alvarado and Brandon Ingram will resurface, but I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it. But you're not changing anything game over game with this club. You still got the same main 5 guys. Jimmy Butler returned for the Heat, but played 25 minutes. Apparently, he's just like so completely wiped out from this stomach bug / ankle injury / I don't know, maybe he's having ankle diarrhea that he couldn't last the ball game, and they're in a 5-game and 7-night stretch, so he might rest a couple of these games. In any event, you guys know how I feel about the fringe Heat. I don't like them, Sam I am. So just go Bam, Hero, and then when Butler's in, you go Butler. Yes, Duncan Robinson, Jaime Jaquez, Nikola Jovic, Haywood Highsmith, all these guys you could run for 5 games and 7 nights. But on the Roto side, games cap anything? Nah, no way. Utah, still no John Collins, but a couple of positives in this one. Larry Markkinen got 22 shots up. He missed most of them, but he's taken them. Colin Sexton starting to take a few more shots, even with Keontae George back, so that's a small positive there. Keontae was okay in this game, but you guys know what to expect from him. We got to get Jordan Clarkson traded. He is screwing things up. Fantasy-wise, I should specify. Like, get Clarkson out of there so Sexton and Keontae George can just get theirs, and we don't have to worry about it anymore. Because with Clarkson, he's going to be extraordinarily inefficient. He's going to be a troubling 9-category fantasy player, and he's going to take a lot of the usage away from the guys we'd rather see have it. In the meantime, would I play Clarkson in head-to-head? I would not. Fairness specific, like multi-punt, then maybe. And, if the schedule is really, really good, then maybe. But generally speaking, the answer there is no. For the Knicks, this was kind of a weird one. Jalen Brunson, we knew he was a game-time decision, so we were ready with Deuce McBride, just ready to plug and play. And then Brunson got ruled out, and it was like, great, okay, Miles McBride time. This makes perfect sense. Well, and then like 4 minutes into the game, we got informed that Deuce McBride was also out. It was the rare after the tip rule out. Forget like after because NBA games always start 10 minutes after the hour or after the half hour. Forget that little 10-minute window. This was after the game started. So we went 2 point guards deep and located Cam Payne hiding behind a rock somewhere. 8 points, 9 assists, 3 steals. I mean, look, here's the thing. If both Brunson and McBride are out for the Knicks' next ball game, you could probably go with Cam Payne because you know that Tom Thibodeau is going to play his guys a bazillion minutes per game. But it also kind of felt like they were just getting everybody that was even a tiny bit dinged up an easy rest day because the Knicks have Oklahoma City coming up tomorrow. And I'm assuming the usual suspects will be in for that one. And then they play at Chicago, and I don't know who's going to play in that ball game. So I'm not racing out to pick up Cam Payne, not until we know at the very last moment, I guess, that 2 guys in front of him are out. Derek Lively came back for Dallas, as did Kyrie Irving and Klay Thompson. I think Klay was back for the last one. But P.J. Washington went down. Got hurt early in the third quarter with a knee sprain. He actually missed a few weeks with one of those earlier this season. Let's hope that it's, more like a couple-week thing and not a, month and a half kind of deal. So hold on PJ for now. Let's see how this thing goes. It sounds like you'll probably be able to stuff him in an injured spot, if at all possible. Derek Lively is a start immediately. Daniel Gafford was a guy that hopefully you guys were able to sell on during the 2 or 3 games that Derek Lively sat out. Kyrie obviously is a go. And then we're back down to the Grimes, Klay Thompson, Spencer Dinwiddie thing. Dinwiddie had been winning that battle, but he had a terrible game here. So Spencer hit the skids. Klay Thompson was decent enough. He had 4 3-pointers, 16 points, 5 boards. I think Klay is probably your safest bet during the Luka absence. And then with Dinwiddie and Grimes, it's this same kind of push and pull thing of, okay, Grimes, he's going to be more reliable at rebounding. He's going to be more reliable at defensive stats. Dinwiddie generally is going to be more reliable at assists and free throw percent, although that didn't pan out in this ball game. Which of those do you want to take the big swing on? And so far, I've taken the swing on Dinwiddie. And in this one, that didn't work. But I'm not adjusting anything off one game against a good defense. Rockets, no Amen Thompson. He's suspended after his little scuffle with Tyler Hero. Cam Whitmore picked up a few of those extra minutes, although, let's be honest, mostly the starters just played more. Freddie VanVleet played 42 damn minutes in this game. Jabari Smith Jr. left and then came back. That's why his minutes were down at 23. It's not because he did anything unpleasant in this game. But Cam Whitmore picked up those minutes, basically. And so he was fine. The shooting was really nice. But I'm not doing anything with Rockets. Dylan Brooks, by the way, is in the midst of one of his little heaters. I'm also not going down that path with you. Dylan. I guess, okay, so Houston's schedule is nothing particularly special right now. They basically play every other day until January 15th. If they had a really good schedule and Dylan Brooks was this hot, I might say go for it as a schedule streamer in head-to-head. But they don't, so I won't. And I want to make sure that you guys don't know I'm not being flippant about it. It's like, screw Dylan Brooks. Like, if he's playing this well and the schedule was good, then fine. But their schedule's not. So, fart sound effect. Atlanta lost to Denver with no Jalen Johnson. Kind of no real surprise there. They're going to need all of their weapons to get over the Nuggets on the road. Trae Young played well. That's good. DeAndre Hunter had 20 more points. That's fine. The thing that makes me the most sad here is that if Larry Nance Jr. was healthy and there was no Jalen Johnson, he would have really enjoyed this. Vit Krejci had a weirdly good game. You're not picking him up. Onyeka Okongwu is a guy I'd feel a little bit more comfortable about streaming if Jalen Johnson misses another ball game. I would have thought Clint Capella would have played a bit better. Thought they might have perhaps needed him against Nikola Jokic, but But, I mean, this is what we talked about 1,000 times already. Capella's a filler-level guy. Okongwu's a filler-level guy. You try to catch him when the situations are right. You're not adding Reese Shea. You're not adding Garrison Matthews. You're not adding Krejci. Just wait on Johnson coming back. For the Nuggets, nothing changed, really. Julian Strother playing 30 minutes was notable. But also this game was over a little bit on the early side. Jokic didn't play 30 minutes. MPJ 24. Russ 26. Rotations basically led to however many minutes starters got in this game. But for now, Denver's a start-the-starter team. Jokic, Murray, Porter, Brown, and Westbrook are all systems go, and we'll reassess when Aaron Gordon comes back. And finally, guys, I think we might be able to get through this thing in under 30 minutes. Oh, my goodness, I'm close. Philadelphia, no Joel Embiid. Yes, Andre Drummond. Gershon Yabusele and Andre Drummond split the center minutes. Yabusele got a couple of minutes at power forward, but you're not picking up either one of those guys while they're both healthy. The key there was if both Embiid and one of the other centers was out, you kind of need there to be a last man standing kind of thing going on. Caleb Martin had a surprisingly useful game here. That's largely because, again, no Joel Embiid, so there was some extra usage, but also no Kelly Oubre. So that dropped another 36 minutes into the group bucket, and Caleb scooped all that up and then some. We'll have to wait on the Oubre situation for tonight. I did pick up Caleb Martin in a head-to-head league on Monday, knowing that they had 3 games in 4 nights. I assumed that he would have at least one decent game in there with Embiid sitting, but the Oubre thing was sort of icing on the cake. Paul George played well. This is going to hurt any buy low opportunity you might have been pondering on him. But from a games cap standpoint, the only guys you're playing when Embiid is out would be Maxey, George, and if he was healthy, you could go Oubre as well. Tonight, I would assume Joel Embiid is back. Who do they play tonight? Golden State. That should be interesting. And so then you're just going with the three main stars. And on the Sacramento side, and I try to leave myself a few minutes on this one, we have to answer the question, an important one. Did the minutes shift in this game because Keegan Murray was out, comma, because Doug Christie wants to play different guys, comma, or both? I don't know that we know for sure after one game. Trying to claim that I do would be needlessly arrogant. It is notable, though, that Keegan Murray being out moved Keon Ellis into the starting five and vaulted Trey Lyles into the sixth man gig, not Kevin Huerter. So that's a small notable. The other notable, of course, is that the mere fact that Keon Ellis actually got to play the most minutes on the team, 37 minutes, 46 seconds, exactly 15 seconds more than De'Aaron Fox, and had a team best plus 17, is, I mean, first of all, kind of something that anybody that's watched the Kings at all this year was fully aware of. They needed to find a way to get Keon Ellis more burn. Is this the thing that opens the door? Well, it's kind of hard to say, because at some point Keegan Murray's going to be back, presumably sooner than later, because it didn't sound like he was all that hurt for this game, but, just hurt enough to need to rest it. Where does he go? Where does Ellis go, is what I mean, because Keegan Murray's going to get a starting job back, I would assume. Does Malik Monk slide back to the bench? Does DeMar DeRozan become a bench gunner? Or does Keon Ellis go back to the bench? And if he does, and the Kings go back to having 5 starters that are all going to get 30-plus minutes a game, how do they find more than 24, 25 minutes for Keon Ellis? Which, by the way, is still a step in the positive direction for him from what he was getting nightly in the under the Mike Brown regime. He's averaging 20 minutes a game on the year. So, getting him into the mid-20s consistently, that would be a step up. But is the mid-20s enough for Keon Ellis? I mean, we're basically talking about Case and Wallace. It's kind of the same thing. Is mid-20s minutes enough for Keon Ellis? I mean, technically, if he plays 24 minutes, he probably sits right around the edge of the top 100, because he's probably going to average like 1.45 steals and a block and, 1.6 three-pointers on okay percentages, and doing literally nothing else besides those, just having like a smattering of the other stuff, gets you to the edge of the top 100. But it's also a very narrow fantasy path, where it'd be nice if we could count on him to rebound or assist or score or really do anything else. So you have this very difficult needle to thread, which, again, obviously if he plays 38 minutes, that's a no-brainer. But I don't know how 38 minutes surfaces when Keegan Murray's back. They'd have to basically go to a 6-man rotation, and there's just no way a team is going to do that in January of the regular season, because that's how you blow out your whole team. You go into full burnout mode. Although I don't know how much wiggle room they have on that, because they've lost so many games. But I don't think you can burn everybody out in January. So, he's going to get added in a bunch of spots because he had a really nice game. 3 threes, 4 steals, 2 blocks. That's what you're looking for out of Keon Ellis. But it's also going to take him 30-some-odd minutes to get to those consistently startable minutes. And I don't know that those are there. So, I know a couple of times on today's show I'm playing the role of buzzkill. Ausar Thompson, a little bit of a buzzkill. Keon Ellis, a little bit of a buzzkill. Would I use a move on those guys? I think I'd be more prone to use the move on Ellis, because his fantasy game is more translatable than Ausar Thompson. Ellis, he's going to get out-rebounded by Ausar, but he's going to hit more threes. He'll probably match him in steals. He might even block more shots. His percentages, both of them, will be better. He'll be better in assists. Did I already say that? I might be repeating myself. My kids are not letting me sleep these days. I'm in meltdown mode, people. Hang on tight. I don't know what the hell I said on today's show. So probably not is the answer to would I like try to get in front of it on these guys. But then, kind of looking back through the games we just talked about today, was there anybody that popped up as a possible drop? Like, would I rather have Keon Ellis over Quentin Grimes? Maybe. Would I rather have him over Dinwiddie? Maybe. They're these like you're rearranging the deck chairs kind of thing. You're shuffling the deck, but I don't know that it changes. Like, it doesn't change the cards in the deck. It's basically what you're doing. You're just rearranging things. There wasn't an obvious drop on yesterday's card. Maybe Grady Dick, if you want to pre-drop. Okay, here we go. I forgot about Ben Simmons. If you want to pick up these guys, if you want to, speculative have a Star Thompson or a spec add Keon Ellis over Ben Simmons, I am all for it. Or if you're dropping Jaden Ivey, not that you should have had him in 9-cat anyway, but there's your possible match. But, I'm not going to take a guy that I've been enjoying and drop that guy on the hopes that Keegan Murray continues to get 30 minutes even after Keon Ellis, gets minutes after Keegan Murray comes back. Marble mouthing my way through the end of the show. Thanks for watching, everybody. That is our recap episode. I did not get it done in 30 minutes. I got it done in 31. What are you going to do? Hit that like button. And need you guys on this one. Please go hit the like button on our trade deadline live show page. It is posted. It's up. It's at 230 as of right this minute. I want to get to 1,000 before February 6th. And I believe that with your collective help, we can get there. So someone watching this show, please go do that. The link is in the show description. It's the second paragraph. I want to make sure it's extremely prominent in the show description. You only have to scroll down the little bitty bitty. I've been tweeting about it from the Old Man Squad account, from my own account at Dan Vespris. Let's get there. If we can get that thing to 1,000 pre-likes, then I know that on trade deadline morning, when we go live for 4 or 5 hours, and I hit that go button, everybody's going to get an alert. Everybody's going to come running, and YouTube is going to pop that sucker in the algorithm, and then, we can have the best damn trade deadline day ever. I also, in a unique and fun twist, this is like the first year that the trade deadline has not fallen on a day when I also have a play-by-play gig. So not only will I be around for the full duration of the live show, but I'll have time to cut up some clips. I'll have time to tweet about it relentlessly throughout the afternoon. And I won't go try to do multiple basketball game play-by-plays with no voice left. That's always kind of embarrassing, to be honest with you guys. Doing the game but never getting excited. Pass to the right wing, shot goes up, and it's good. Bad play-by-play. We want fun play-by-play. We want Dan doing it when he has his voice. 3-pointer for the win! There we go. Thanks for watching, everybody. Again, like, rate, subscribe on your way out. Hit that trade deadline show. Hugs and kisses. All that good stuff. Maybe you don't want those. Maybe that's a little bit too forward. Friendly handshake. I don't think we're going to have a second show today just due to time constraints. I know that sucks. I'm sorry. But we'll get out there what we can get out there. Make sure to follow on Twitter because that's where we'll put all the other content for you guys over the course of this very weirdly NBA-friendly day across social media. Adios for now.